Judith and Basemath, the grief of mind. You know, Judith and Basemath, the Bible records only 2 verses about them. The first says, Esau, when he was 40 years old, married 2 women, Judith and Basemath, and they were Hittites. And the next verse says they were grief of mind. So when I was reading this story, I asked myself, what is a grief? What is a grief of mind? We know the word grief. We don't usually use that term, a grief of mind, but we know the word grief. So I asked myself, now these ladies, I read a little bit further and I found, yes, they are mentioned again, but they're only mentioned in terms of the children that they later bore to Esau. All we know about them is that they were grief of mind. So I wondered, why were these women being referred to as a grief of mind to Rebecca and Isaac, their parents-in-law? So I did a bit of a background check. We are told they were Hittites, true, which means they were descendants of Canaan. They were Canaanites. And we've already read before that Canaanites were idol worshippers. So could this be the problem that, you know, they came from a different religion? Was that the reason that they were referred to as a grief of mind? All the time, a grief of mind to Rebecca and Isaac. When they're in the house, they are grief of mind. When they're outside, they are grief of mind. When they are with other relatives, they are grief of mind. And then I remember there are other women in the Bible who came into Israelite society from other cultures. If you remember Rahab was living in Jericho at the time the Israelites came and took over the city. And yet she became inserted into the lineage of Christ via marriage. Actually, scholars say through one of the men who Joshua came with. She became the mother of Boaz, who was the father of Jesse, the father of David the king. So that was not the issue. Again, I studied Ruth. Ruth was a Moabite. Moabites were again people of paganistic rituals, people of a different faith from the Israelites. But Ruth, we have a very wonderful example of how she dealt with her parents-in-law, with her family, with her new family. She stayed with them throughout when they came into the land, when she got married into the family. When her father-in-law died, her husband died, her brother-in-law died, she stayed with her mother-in-law and even moved with her mother-in-law Naomi back to a strange land. So the issue with Judith and Basemath was not their culture, it was with their character. And that's, I think, what I picked up in that story. And I ended by saying, you know, let's think about this a little bit ourselves as ladies and also as Christians, perhaps, that let it not be that our families will remember us, generations to come, that we were a grief of mind. A grief of mind. Let us be remembered in other ways. We were pleasant to our family. We served them well. We got along with our in-laws, especially our parents-in-law, because the Bible says we must honor our parents. Let us not be remembered by those 6 words that these ladies were remembered by. They were grief of mind.